right, let me do my thing. Let me welcome beautiful, multiple Miss Olympia. Still one of my favorite female bodybuilders ever, Miss Lenda Murray. How you doing, Lenda?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
How
great.
you doing? Good looking.
Oh, I'm doing fabulous.
Look at you. Look at you. Listen, what's the secret?
Yeah.
I want to know what the secret is of being a female bodybuilder and then still look like you long after you retire. What's the secret?
Yeah.
Why don't the other girls look like you?
But no, but I think that is super important for women bodybuilders, especially. I think men can get away with, like during our career, kind of taking anything and putting whatever you want in your body. So if you genetically have it, you genetically have the ability to put on muscle, right? And you, so I think a lot of times I'll see the women who they're trying to make something happen, and in the process, other things happen. It's not always your shoulders are going to get big. You know what I mean? You might get an extra forehead. You might, if our skin looks like concrete, it's not good, right? You guys can get away with that really like chisel look. We all have to have that chisel look. But I think that that plays a major role in the beginning during my time in competing. And I think then after, it's important to just continue to like get off the stuff, still work out consistently. And I think that's where it starts for me.
Well, can I say this? Dennis said like one of my favorites. Come on, Dennis.
Yeah,
Lenda by far.
She knows. She knows. She knows.
Yeah, don't be politically correct, man. Just say the way it is. Most beautiful, best representative of the sport ever. Okay.
And it's true. It's true. I say it and I think it every time I see her, but I don't want to say it every time because
thank you.
I don't want to be all creepy.
Okay, should we all admit that we were all in love with Lenda?
Yes.
Yeah,
I still have a crush. I still have a crush.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks. I think the Lenda of when I was competing, one of the big things is that when you look at us women, female bodybuilders or men, and when we diet down, like some of us lose a lot of weight in our face and we don't look that great, but now that I'm not it's been over 20 years since 2014, since I stepped on the stage, I get to eat, I have fat in my face, my body's normalized out. So I think that's like a huge player, because the woman that I see in the pictures, I'm like, my God, sometimes it wasn't a cute look. If the light didn't hit me right, it was not cute. Let's face it.
You just hydrated.
You said what, Chris?
You're hydrated. I said you're hydrated.
Yes, just looked like a prune. Like a prune. No, it's not looking like a prune is kind of like, you guys, again, it's more acceptable for you on stage versus a woman. It's really just not a cute look, but we got to do what we got to do to win, right?
I think, Lenda, that your face, to me, was the most sucked in your last Olympia. I remember when you came back, you took, how long did you take off before you came back for that Olympia?
5 years.
5 years. You came back and your face looked like you had no more face. It was literally just bone structure.
Yeah.
That's not a compliment.
I know it might not be a compliment. It's just what I saw. And she was in that good a shape too.
I know.
On top of it, she came back and won.
Yes. After 5 years, 2002. Yeah. But Lenda, before Dennis came on, I was gonna touch the subject of beauty and muscularity. Right. We had a 1993 Dorian Yates and Flex Wheeler duel. You had it with Bev Francis. I mean, there was very similar situation. You're like, Flex is like you, shape, beauty, everybody wanted. And then there was the muscularity of Bev Francis that correct me if I'm wrong. I was watching in LA. I think after prejudging, actually, you were losing.
Yes. Yep. That's what I heard. And I knew that after prejudging going into finals. So that was really, it was a weird place. And it wasn't extremely weird in that was my first time defending the title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, 91, yeah.
It's not like when you've won like 3 or 4 Olympias and then you're losing. That's extremely uncomfortable. So yeah, it is what it is. That there's truth to that. Bev, see, that first year that I competed against Bev in 1990, the reigning Miss Olympia, Corey Everson, retired, right?
Yes.
So I'm a nobody at that time. I had won the North American in 89, and Bev Francis, she had been on the scene for a while and doing quite well. So when she came back that first year, she decided she was much smaller. So if you look at her in 1990, and then you see her come back in 91. So I beat her in 90, and her physique was completely different than her physiques prior. So she came back with a vengeance because then she was prepared for me. She had a lot more, how can I say, experience, maturity. I didn't really understand the whole process, right? Like me defending my title, that was like my hardest Olympia.
Oh.
That one was the hardest.
Yeah, because she came just like Dorian from 92 to 93, shocking difference. Like you said, 1990, 91, Bev Francis, there was night and day. So she came with the only tools that can possibly beat you, like a little bit more, like you said, hard muscle. You said you don't like that hardness and rigidity on a woman, like the skin and everything. But when you're just muscle fan and you see Bev Francis, she was unbelievable. It was apples and oranges, but in a female division. And I was always delighted for you beating, because let's face it. Okay, my question, and I'm sure that many people will want to hear it. Beautiful woman like yourself, shapely, wanted to go to bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is masculinity and muscles. They didn't associate women in shape with the muscles to be sexy. You redefined that. Right. You were really, but how did you decide, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, well, I think for me, as far as this is what I want to do, being an athlete all through, high school and college and just being disciplined, you go through this transition of you want to still stay in shape or still do something that motivates you, inspiration. And so then I found the gym, right? And started weight training. I met Ron Love within probably 3 days of me joining this hardcore gym, because everything I did was outside of the gym, running, outdoor stuff, gymnastic stuff, not like in a gym all day training. So that was kind of odd to me. It was different. And I think when I went to my first bodybuilding competition, sitting and watching, that's when I said, okay, I can do this. Like I have the structure, I have the experience as far as being on stage in front of an audience. And that's what clicked for me, what got me initially started. And of course, when I competed in my first competition, I quickly learned that diet, it was so much more to it, and it took me about 4 years before I learned how to diet the way a bodybuilder diets, the science of it, not dieting like a cheerleader to be a size 2 or a size 4, but dieting in a really smart way.
Did you consult with any other female bodybuilders at your beginning to get information, or How did that work? Or did Ron Love help you out with all this?
I would say at first it was mostly men, mostly men. And I would say Ron Love more so motivated me because that was my first bodybuilder that I saw. But I'm going to say kind of what was really key for my journey is that the gym that I belonged to at the time, there were not a lot of women. I joined a gym like in 1984, 85. And because the gym was kind of like a hole in a wall gym, it was predominantly Black gym in Detroit. We didn't have that information as far as supplementation, anabolics, that just wasn't as present, And so I had the opportunity to learn how to train first, learn how to diet. We were taking like supplements like amino acids and that kind of thing, but I didn't have access to anything for that first 4 years. And I think that was instrumental. Yeah, I feel like I came close to interacting with a man that tried to, introduce me to something that would have hurt me if I had, gone that route.
Okay. Who was your role model?
My role model, you talking about in bodybuilding?
Yeah, as a female bodybuilding. Who
Yes,
anything you look up to?
Yeah, so my role model initially was and still is Carla Dunlap.
Oh, I love Carla Dunlap.
Yep, Carla Dunlap, because she was the first, Black woman that I saw, and she won the Miss Olympia, and I'm like, wow, And then, of course, my serious role model, Corey Everson. Without a doubt, she just, her structure. She was on national television, and it was just such a beautiful look, and her representing muscular women, that was just like the bomb. So without question, it's Corey.
Did you see Carla Dunlap in Pumping Iron 2, the women?
Yes, I did.
How many times did you watch that movie?
Oh gosh, I watched that movie a lot.
A lot, right?
A lot, because we didn't have like what they have now. So that was like something I had access to. That they were moving.
Yeah,
I could see.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I know you came up with Johnny Morant. Didn't he win the?
Yes, Johnny won the North American in 1989, and I won the North American in 1989.
Yeah, that's when I first saw it. Like, damn, like, who is this girl? I was like, yeah, man. I just remember those shoulders. I remember that structure, and then that's when we was like on ESPN, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
ESPN. Okay, so he was like, he won the same time you did. For myself, when I turned pro at the USA, it was Denise Bukowski. So tell me what you thought about her. She came from winning the Huntington Beach local show to California championships, then won the overall the USA, then won her first pro show, and then went to challenge you in the Olympia, placing second to you. But what was that like, knowing that she was coming and that she was coming up the ranks so fast? Not that many women came from their first year competing to zooming up into the second place in the Miss Olympia. So what was that? What did you think of that?
Yeah, Denise Rutowski, that was her, to me, in my opinion. She was like a real challenger to me, like what happened at that Olympia. I have several Olympias where I look back and I'm going, I got lucky, or you know what I mean? Like the gods were in my favor, things just moved into, I was in alignment or whatever you want to call it. But Denise was someone that if she had continued, if she had her head on straight and she had continued, she would have been somebody that would have really pushed me.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? She had
we lived on the
structure.
same street. She was, but yeah, like she had other things going on that no one knew. Because the last time I saw her in competition form, we went to the FIBO.
Okay.
We went there together. We were close friends, and she just came. I saw it at the first day. We went back to our room. We were going to work the next day, and she was just vanished. She went back to America. She said, "It's over. I'm done."
Really? Yeah.
The next time I see her,
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think held her back?
Held her back?
Yeah.
The mindset.
It wasn't hanging out with you?
No. No. She went from 0 to 100 with all the anabolics and all this stuff like that. We were close friends, lived on the same street. She lived on 4th Street. I lived on 6th Street in Venice.
Okay.
And, she's and then next thing you know, remember she had a broken arm for a minute. Remember that she had a cast?
Yeah. So where was she originally from though? She's not originally from
Texas. I think Texas.
Okay. And see, how long did it take? Because that's another thing, Dennis, you guys talking about mindset and all that. I think that, like, if you're already in California, you're already in Venice, and during that time, that was the scene and the thing to do. I'm from Michigan, right? And so it was like that. I would go and do my photo shoots, but to move there so quickly, and you said she was in Venice on 4th and 6th Street. I know that area.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta like have your head on straight. Like you can't, if you live there and you're been there for a while and you can maneuver your way around, but it can be a lot of distractions. So that's one of the reasons
and then that's when
she did not move.
Yes, she got.
I think so too. I think Venice is not for everybody. Wasn't for everybody.
That's right. It was.
I've seen a lot of people come to Venice thinking they can live their dream, and then they ended up crashing.
I agree.
Yeah.
But can I jump in with now you said Dennis Witkowski. I did a seminar with her in Mexico, I remember, and I was just blown away. But she was too muscular. Let's just define this. Rachel McLeish started the whole thing looking beautiful, feminine, sexy. I mean, it was appealing. This is why I ask you, why did you choose to do it? I mean, okay, Corey Everson, how far is it beautiful? I mean, yes, we want to look like that. I understand that. But then there was that, okay, now how do we beat Lenda Murray? We can outshape her. She's so feminine, so beautiful, graceful. She does all that. I'm going to outmuscle her. So that's the way it is. And I do remember that basically your reign was there and you had like 6 titles at that time, right? You beat Kim Trzewski, right? Who was, as a bodybuilder, you have to just respect, like, oh my God, she was phenomenal, right? But that was the borderline, too much muscle, okay? This is how it was. I remember that you beat her first time, right?
I think the first time. Yeah,
then a couple of times.
I remember where she placed.
I think that you just decide. My way of thinking was Lenda just didn't want to push the envelope to replicate that, to be as muscular, to be as dry as this is you draw the line, and then when you felt the time was right, you came back, regained another couple of titles. But I commend you for that because you were facing. I can change the structure and my face and my body and everything, add a few more pounds because we all know how to make the muscle, right?
Yes.
So it's not like, okay, I cannot do that, but you draw the line. This is what I want to stick with.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, Chris, you were friends with Denise and she was phenomenal, of course, but I think she was going into the direction of Beth Francis, still feminine, right? But a little bit too much muscle, if you ask me.
Question for both of you, Chris and Milos. Give me a Lenda Murray signature pose.
Yeah.
The last pair with this one.
Exactly. That's for me.
But-
That's Lenda Murray's signature pose.
But
This
she had
one.
also so many, even that
But
Olympia
I like
trophy behind her.
what did you like about the pose? I'll tell you what I liked about the pose.
Every single thing from head to toe.
I like that her waist was small, so
And the
small
shoulders popped.
that
The shoulders popped.
her quads looked like they were actually an inch or so bigger than her waist. That was awesome.
All right.
That was awesome.
I like it.
It was
Love
like
it.
that, but better.
Yeah.
It was like that.
If I would
But,
have the delts, I would have really pulled it off, but I didn't have
So Chris, tell the truth. Did you steal that pose off of Linda?
Well, actually, between
Yes or no?
no, Corey used to do it also, right, Linda?
Yes.
So
Corey.
that,
did
it was a feminine pose, but I pulled it off real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
did.
got it from a woman. I got a couple poses. You know, another of my favorite was Anya Langer. Anya Langer,
Anya,
doesn't get poses, man. I
from Germany.
steal a lot of stuff from Anya Langer.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
you know what?
There you
That's
go.
another one I would like to bring on one day.
Oh man, I love
She
Anya
lives in
Langer.
the States now.
That was-
She lives in the States.
Mhm.
She does. I met her
Yeah.
son in Venice one time, and I was like, man, I had a crush on your mom, man. I was like, what?
There wasn't-
remember-
she was my favorite.
Was that before Linda?
Yeah, Anya. Yes. Anya.
Way
amazing.
before.
She's
You
another
never
one.
stood on stage with her then.
No.
What about the other
excited.
one from Germany, Anya Schreiner, or what was her name?
China, yeah. She
Yeah,
did.
Anya Schreiner. She's the one I competed against a lot.
Okay,
Like,
because she came
yeah.
after Anya Langer.
China
yeah.
was tough
Yeah.
too. She was tough. She went to the international a lot, right? To the
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, and I think I'm not sure if she won the Miss International. I believe she did, but it was always her and Laura Prevail.
And I used to love Erica Mess too. Erica Mess was my favorite. She's from Holland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her and,
Oh, yeah.
Anya Langer, though.
Yeah.
So
Anya
Linda, how
Schreiner.
did you feel? How did you feel when all of a sudden, after all these years of female bodybuilding disappeared and it was gone?
Mhm.
No longer. First they pulled it off from the Arnold, and then it's even stopped it at the Olympia. How did that make you feel?
Oh gosh, that was like, it was horrible. It wasn't a good feeling.
Even though you didn't compete anymore. Even though I didn't compete anymore, I kind of, at the time too, first of all, I felt a little bit like helpless in a sense, but then I got over that quick and realized like the importance of still, getting involved in it. But I think what was hard about it, and I even hear that still a little bit from people, like I won 8 Olympias, Corey won 6, Rachel, all our history, Anya Langer, Julia Bergman. And it's like, that's a legacy. That's something I didn't want to go away. We deserve respect. And so to work that hard and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore for the ladies, it was disappointing. And I think where probably the first time where I was sitting in the audience at the last Olympia, where it was Iris Kyle and Alina Popa. Mhm.
And Alina looked amazing. And I wanted to see the judges do for us what I'd seen them do for the men on occasion. And what I'm saying is, yes, I felt like Alina was the winner. Now, let me say, I'm not saying that I do see how Iris was better, right? But it was like for the sport, where we were going. I see this with, for example, let's look at, like it's so exciting when we change the command. If Ronnie Coleman's winning, and he's starting to not have that absolutely beautiful physique, and you can only win so many, and then you start to like lose some followers and support. And then it's like, okay, and you get someone that comes in like Jay Cutler, that's great for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
It was great for the sport. When Dexter Jackson came in, you know, a smaller guy who, you know, would have been in like in the 212 or just a little bit above or whatever. He came in and that was exciting. Mm-hmm. So I understand, like me winning 6 Olympias straight, like people started to say, I want to see a new champion. I felt like sitting in that audience and I saw that Alina pulled it off from head to toe. She was the one that I looked at her and I thought, you know, this is what we need at that time. I think by that time, Iris had won. She was on her 8th and she was going for her 9th. So she beats Alina. And then after that, the sport goes away. So in my opinion, I said, you guys don't want to do for us what you've done for the men. You don't want to help us out. That was very disappointing.
But that takes me back to what you said earlier, said, you know, there was a couple of Olympias where you thought, you know, God was on my side, you know, when you're a multiple Olympia champion.
Right.
And we say this all the time. Yeah, it's close. It's competition. It's the best of the best. If there's no competition, you should be on stage by yourself.
That's right.
But also, we always say that when you want to beat the champion, you got to knock him out. You can't beat him by points. I mean, this isn't boxing. I'm just saying this just to, you know, to put it together. So you got to knock her out. Did she knock her out?
Yeah. No, she did not knock her out.
That's what I'm saying. So as an Olympia, you still have that kind of that Olympia champ bonus.
That's right.
You know? You see it all the time, you know.
Did she stumble? Did she stumble?
Did who stumble?
I know exactly what you're talking about. There was, I mean, I would say that 70, 80% of people would have had Alina winning. But I guess the judges, they saw it. You know, it's a sport where it's apples and oranges.
You can't just slam dunk the ball and get the point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have to say one thing. Iris was always on point.
Oh, Iris? Oh my God.
She was always on point. When it comes to condition, she was always on point.
Oh.
So I knew she would have been very hard to beat for whoever because she had the condition. But Alina that year was really unbelievable. I remember that.
Yeah, Alina was better than probably at her best. And I agree. Alina did not knock her out. Yeah. However, we all knew the situation and the state of women's bodybuilding.
Also, you knew already back then.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. What do you think was the reason why female bodybuilding disappeared?
Well, I think the reason, honestly, it's like a combination of things. Like sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to cultivate and make the women, like you have to work a little bit harder. You have to do a little bit more. So what I'm saying, for example, we see now with the men, you got men at the Olympia over 300 pounds. And then now they come to this where we have classic physique and we have men's physique and, you know, and that was cultivating and giving all these athletes and these different types of physiques the ability to expand and also show the world out there who we are, this variety of different types of physiques. And I think with women's bodybuilding, it was a really great thing when they brought on women's physique, because I do see a difference between women's physique and women's bodybuilding, right? And I think there is still a difference. Even some people try to say, oh, we need a lightweight female bodybuilder division, lightweights and heavyweights, and then overall what they tried to do once before.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else, every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
But I think part of what happened is like,
you think some of them just went too far?
Yeah, some just went too far. I can say with Iris, for example. I'm going to say that with Iris is just, first of all, let me say, I have mad respect for Iris. Like you guys talk about consistency, constantly coming in better and better. She approached that and she never deviated. I didn't do that in my career. I was kind of playing that game of, oh, you know, I want to be a face, like marketing a little bit. I don't want to be too muscular, holding back. And then that's when somebody like, you know, a Denise Bertowski comes in and pushes your button. And then eventually a Kim Shizevsky comes in and kicks my ass. Right. So I just feel like with Iris, I look at her situation the same as when I look at Ronnie Coleman. And that's where sometimes we don't do that for the women like we do for the men. Like Ronnie, amazing physique, right? Amazing structure. And then he gets to a place where things start to not be as symmetrical and beautiful. The extended stomach, you know what I mean? Training so hard, you have some body parts that are like damaged. And when I look at with Iris, I feel that because she competed so often and she approached it like a man would, which she is a woman. And when she made that decision and she approached, which mad respect for it, but it put us in a situation where her face, it just started to have a look that to me was not healthy. So she crossed the line, Ronnie's crossed the line, all of us, our time comes, you cross the line, and it is what it is.
She was so lean, her face, she was like also death face. Yeah. She was.
Yeah. If I can jump in, I mean, you guys know that I have my differences with Iris, but like Lenda said, she was phenomenal champion. I mean, she competed constantly, continuously, automatic Miss International and Olympia. Miss International, you know, being, 10 times champion, which was is still not achievable by anybody. And she did have, like you said, Lenda, initially she tried to resemble you with the shape, you know, but then she pushed down of conditioning. And listen, there was that moment, if you remember, when IBB issued to female bodybuilders that 20% discount, right?
Yes.
Whatever that meant.
Yes.
You know, so like, because direction was, conditioning was, I mean, I would say this, Kim Chizevsky and Iris achieved the conditioning that every man on the Olympia stage would be proud of.
Absolutely.
The dryness, leanness, I mean, striated look everywhere. And then you guys had that small waist, like Chris and Dennis said, your last spread pose. I mean, that V-taper was going, I mean, X-frame, legs. I mean, it was phenomenal. All of us loved it, but it was still super feminine, super sexy, everything, right? But then came the point like, okay, this is now too much muscle, but I don't want to really admit it. You know? So
right.
And this is when I want to say loudly, this is how judges can direct the sport. You choose the winner. We want this to represent our sport.
Absolutely.
So if you go to this direction, there is, no like a compromises. Now I'm going to go a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Stick to it. Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that, Milos. I'm glad you brought that up because now I think that this is exactly what the judges are doing. No, we see. Look. We have Andrea Shaw, came from Physique. She was one of the smaller girls when she started winning her first Rising Phoenix and won the Olympia in the first year. And I think this is where the judges show us now. This is what we're looking for. I don't think she's the hardest girl on stage. If they would go for condition, Hella would have won last year. But I think they're looking exactly for that. I just don't think that there are as many. I don't want to disrespect any of them girls because they're all great athletes, but I don't think there's as many beauties there today as we had back in the days. And I remember there was also a reason that I think it disappeared because when you look at all the categories now, back then there was only two. There was men bodybuilding, female bodybuilding, or nothing else to talk about. So, but when you look at it now, you see we have bikini, we got figure, we have women physique, wellness, and women bodybuilding. When you look at endorsements, sponsorships, I think if it wasn't for Jake, most of these girls wouldn't even have a supplement sponsor.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that shows me that there's somewhere, someone, you know, that says, you know, why aren't these girls getting the same sponsorships as some of the figure girls or bikini girls, you know? So it looks like there still is a little disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think mainstream. Think mainstream.
Yes,
All these years.
I get it.
With Lenda Murray and Corey Everson and Rachel McLeish, and I mean, there was Gladys Portuguese, there was Sharon Brunel.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that was appealing for everybody. I mean, we all men, right? You want to look at a woman and want her, right?
Yeah. Milos, but bodybuilding back then was like figure today.
Yeah, I mean,
right or wrong?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
Not even.
But you see, I think if I can be again incorrect politically, judges decide where we want to take this sport. Okay, do you want to mainstream or we just want, is it beauty or beast, freak show or you know, pageant? You know, this is how I look at it, and they're the ones that decide. I'm just going from a man's perspective. Frank Zane, 3 times Mr. Olympia champion. Yes, there was 70s, doesn't matter. But that was ideal. What was he, 185 pounds? Lila Brada, second to, I mean, enough muscle? No. Well, yes. At one point, that was the shape. That's what we want. And who wouldn't want to look like Frank Zane or Lila Brada back in the day, even though we are, you know, trying to be bigger. But now look at the female bodybuilding, right? Lenda was champion. Even Lenda would say, maybe sometimes you saw yourself being lucky winning because of probably conditioning, right? You were maybe not as lean as some of those girls, but your shape, your beauty, your femininity still reflected on the stage. Everybody want to, you know, you as a paragon. This is what we want.
Still to this day, all the athletes, the female bodybuilders, it's kind of like Lenda is kind of like the ambassador right now. I don't want to know how many emails you get for questions for some of these athletes, how many girls you mentor, and maybe don't even know that you're mentoring these girls, you know, because I get it. Every time I talk to female bodybuilders, it's all about Lenda. Everybody wants to talk to Lenda. Now, Lenda, what do you think? Is female bodybuilding going in the right direction? Do you sometimes have conversations with some of these girls? And do you see or do you feel that sometimes some of these girls are just going overboard, and do you try to bring them back?
Yeah. Without question, I have a lot of conversations with women bodybuilders. And that's one of the things that's so cool about my job is that I get a chance to go to the Tampa Pro, Chicago Pro, Savannah, New York Pro. And I sit there in the audience and watch the athletes, watch the female bodybuilders, and always everybody's happy before the show, and then after we're all having conversations, and they're confused. They're confused about like, well, I don't understand why I didn't do well or whatever. And what I see, yes, women's bodybuilding is going in the right direction, and I think that one of the great reasons for that is the women's physique division, because, and what I mean by that is we had this period of time because all women want to be beautiful, or no female wants to be called a beast. Like, that's cool for the men. Like, I think that's exciting. When I go to the Olympia, I want to see a beast for the men. You know, and when I say beast is, again, I want structure and all that stuff, but it's cool you guys being called a beast. No woman wants to be called that. So I feel like what I was seeing when the Olympia returned for the women, I started to see like we were weeding out, because when they got rid of the Olympia, the women that were at the bottom, and I'm sorry, and this is some of those competitors and women, they were in there strong, and they were like, oh yeah, now those little fruity tooty women, like they're gone, and you know, I'm hardcore, and they were rising to the top, and we were starting to see them. So now they're weeded out. They're gone, you know, and we're seeing that in the last 3 years when we have like Sheena Ohlig, Andrea Shaw, you know, women that I don't think Angela Yo was ever a women's physique competitor, but the majority in that top like 7 that are moving up, they were all women physique competitors that they were afraid to say they were women bodybuilders.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Because of the stigma. Looking at, like, for example, Stephanie Flesher. We got a lot of women that have kind of the natural structure, the ability to train hard, the discipline, and understand the importance of their face as part of this. They understand that. They want to get their hair right, their wigs right. They want to get their makeup right. They understand moving, and that's what I see in the women's physique division. So it's getting better. The judges just need to make those decisions, and it can't always be about like who's the most ripped or who's the biggest or whatever. It's different looking at the women.
Who's challenging Andrea at the Olympia this year? Is there any?
You said who's challenging her?
Who's really challenging her? Because
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Andrea, I had on the podcast not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I told Andrea, I said, Andrea, I mean, this is my opinion. I said, you must be training for the Olympia, knowing that as long as you do your work, ain't nobody going to come close to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like to me. So I'm asking you, because you know all the girls. I don't even know all of them. Yes, is there anybody right now that can challenge her this year or maybe next?
I think where her challenge will be, and I know this from being in that position, but it's a different kind of position that she's in. And that's us talking about now there's the women's physique division. And that's where she came from. And the women's physique division, those women are on point as far as conditioning usually. That they've mastered that. And that's something that's really challenging for for women to have like glutes with some striation. I'm not saying that that's a requirement because striation's not always cute on everybody, you know, right. But I think that's where her challenge will be. And what I mean by that is when you're the champion and you're on stage and you turn to the rear, if you have anyone like Angela Yo or Mona Porcelet, who they consistently, when they turn to the rear, they're sharp. So if they're in any close proximity, then it starts to, the judges will be able to look at maybe Andrea's glutes and want more. Like at first it's okay, but that's going to start the challenge. I think Chris, that's where this, yeah.
Chris, is Andrea saved?
Saved?
Like, does he have anything to worry about? Of any of the competitors?
I mean, I think she's at the place where all she has to do is be in shape, and I think it's going to go in her favor.
I paid close attention last year before the Olympia that she had to rise in Phoenix, and she throws her name in the hat every year. And you know how Olympia champions don't want to compete at other shows in the Olympia because if you have a problem at a show before, or somebody's close to you, or maybe even beating you, that's not going to help you for the Olympia. Yeah. But she is so confident. She throws herself into the Rising Phoenix regardless, you know. I remember I went there last year to watch it, and it was just like it was Andrea, and then there was a gap.
But
it just looked like that, even though Helen was much harder than her.
But Dennis, I with that all being said, I still think she's about 75% of her potential.
I get that. But that's why I'm telling you, that's how good she really is. That she's not even 100%, and it's still being, because her shape, her flow. I mean, there was no competition for me. There was no competition.
Okay, now should women get the striated glutes, as Lenda was saying, when they turn around and they're sharp? I mean, Should women
I like
have
a-
striated glutes?
I like a soft full ass, to be honest.
No, but really, but that's exactly where you draw the line. How far are you going to go? So as an athlete, Chris said Andrea is 75%. What is 75% conditioning
I don't
only?
know what she can do with her body.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
I'm
okay,
not
but
just talking conditioning, because you know as well as I know, conditioning was not something I was after. I was never after conditioning myself. That's not bodybuilding. To me, bodybuilding is a healthy, strong, shaped, dense look, but shape and all that stuff is way more important.
Yeah, but we can also all agree that striated glutes doesn't mean that you're in shape.
yeah, yeah.
I've seen guys with striated glutes and other body parts were still off. Oh, and then I see guys that are in
That's
tip-top
mostly-
condition but don't have striated glutes. I don't want to call out no names.
Yeah, because I mean, I have the ability to who's got straight. I see that.
Both of these guys, crazy condition, but glutes were not striated.
I had a big butt. I still have a big butt.
I have a big fat ass too. So what? There's nothing to do with that.
I got a big butt. I was never tripping because, you know.
Oh, but Chris,
that was
that's
never my thing. A couple of times I had a couple of fibers back there.
oh, you might have had a line going in when you came back from the club.
It was
dehydrated.
nothing to yank my chunks up my
Oh,
ass.
when you came home from the club all dehydrated, you might have had a line or two. No, but this is what I'm saying. You can be in crazy condition everywhere and still don't have striated glutes. Back in the days, how many guys with striated glutes until Rich
Here's
Kaspari?
the fire, yeah. Yeah, I
That was
know,
the first
it's
one where
wrong.
you really paid attention. Oh, look at his glutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I
So,
hope they don't put that
I don't
on
judge
women.
by glutes alone, and that's why I don't think I need to see striated glutes on women
No.
I don't
bodybuilding.
care.
And,
I would
And you
rather
know what?
see small
And you
waist,
know what?
nice popping shoulders, flaring quads, and beautiful shape.
And then
I agree.
And then when people pay so close attention to the glutes, they over contract the glutes so hard trying to show glutes that they don't pay any attention to the connection and the hamstrings and the shape
Yeah,
that
it's all about the
stands.
glutes.
Yeah,
Guys
your
walk around with
hands.
thumbs.
Everything's thrown off because you're trying to squeeze your butt so hard.
Yeah.
Lose the glutes, then you lose the lower lat thickness, and you forget about hamstring. I completely agree. But as Lenda mentioned, when you turn around and the ladies are sharper from the back, that's what I just want to see. Nobody should want to see striated glutes on the female bodybuilders. I mean, seriously, that's
And I
now
hope they
crossing
don't-
the line.
Yeah, I hope they don't put that on us. I
Yes.
really don't, but we've seen like in some of these not Olympias, in last couple shows, I think we went from Chicago to Tampa, and I don't know if it was New York, but one of the women physique competitors, she placed ahead of other women that had more muscle, that had a better structure. And we were concerned about that. I can't think of her name right now. She went from women's physique and she kicked some ass. She kicked a lot of the women bodybuilders.
Did she win?
Yeah, no, she placed
Oh, you're
second.
talking about a physique girl competing in bodybuilding.
Yes. And
Oh,
she
okay.
gets super ripped. I'm trying to think.
I know who you mean. I don't know her name, but I know
Yes.
exactly who you're talking about.
Yes.
Shredded,
Yes.
super shredded.
Super shredded. She don't have the muscle. She don't even have the X frame, but she beat like Sheena. She actually beat Chelsea Dion. And I think it must have been it wasn't New York. It was whatever was between New York and Chicago. She did well. She beat a lot of those girls.
Savannah?
No, it wasn't. She did compete in Savannah. Gosh, her name will come to me.
Huh. Yeah.
Okay, can I ask Lenda, because we talked before Dennis came on, and you saw us predicting top 6 at Olympia, and I was going to ask you, but I said let me do this in front of the Dennis. What is your pick for top 6?
For
Not
top
top
six.
6, just top 6 guys. Who do you see?
Top 6 guys
Man
at
or
the
female?
yeah.
Male first.
No.
I mean, you talking about for the men, for top 6
Man.
at Mr. Olympia. No question. I think Big Ramy, because I knew and heard that he wasn't at his best last year and that he's going to be better this year. So I think he's got like that going for, you know, this will be his third one for sure. Brandon Curry, no question about it. And then I look at, I do think William Bonac, because I would think with William, he has to be tired of like placing, and he's got the muscle, he's got the size, you know what I mean? Like he's going to come better. When you start getting toward the being there and not placing where you want. So I say William Bonac.
Kind of like a mega
Hottie. And then all these new guys like Blessing, Akeem.
All right, hold on, Lenda. We got 4 now.
We got 4.
We got 4 to put in the top 6.
Hunter.
Oh, Hunter. Yeah.
Don't throw, Chris. Don't.
No. I really put Hunter there. Yep, I have Hunter there.
Okay, if Chris gives you names, Lenda, then I'm gonna give you 3 or 4 more names for you to change.
Okay.
We got Nick Walker. We got Andrew Jack.
Andrew Jack. Yeah.
We got who did I miss?
Samson.
You didn't say anything about Nick Walker.
Samson,
I wouldn't have picked Nick. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Not your type?
No, I just don't see him as being top 5, top 6. I mean, I'd have to see him come in back. I mean, his structure, I'm still.
So who do you have in the top 6? Last one. You got you just chose
the
Hunter.
last one that I would have in the top 6. Let me think.
It's so hard this year.
Yeah, it is. Well, I would like to see Blessing like show up, you know.
See, we talked about, you know, yeah, you met Blessing, so you got, so that's why we talked about Blessing and Andrew Jack, both from Nigeria, both rookies at the Olympia this year. And I asked everybody, you know, can Blessing beat Andrew? And we got mixed answers.
No.
There was only one that said yes. That was George, who coaches Blessing, of course, but he coaches Andrew too.
Gonna have to get his legs bigger.
No, he said,
Andrew,
no, George at the end said if both come in 100%, Andrew would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta keep that right. So do you think Blessing can beat Andrew, or Andrew can beat Blessing? Who do you think come out on top?
Okay, here's my question. So what did Andrew just win?
England, Texas.
He just won Texas.
The UK,
England and Texas the week or 2 weeks before, or 3 weeks.
Okay. I would have to put it on like mindset and like what's going on inside of those individuals.
Thanks for the answer. We still don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Blessing.
Okay. You know what, Blessing? I just saw some pictures of him again from I think it had to be New York. He looked really great. He's got a really tiny waist and everything. He improved a lot. So it would be, and everybody agreed that, you know, I think that this will be the most interesting Olympia in a long time, maybe almost of all time. Interesting. Because there's too many great guys that could potentially be in the top 6, and only 6 can be in there. So there's going to be a bunch of guys, they're not going to make top 6, you know, even though they would be good enough. So it's going to be, I wouldn't want to be a judge this year, to be honest.
Yeah,
we were saying that the whole top.
So what about, let's talk about, because Belinda is on here, let's talk about women physique. Okay, we have Sarah, she went in at, I think she won it 2 years now. She beat Shanique 2 years ago and repeated last year. And then we have young girl, Natalia Coelho. He's literally right on her heels. You know, she just cleaned the house this year with, I don't know how many shows she won back to back, like 3 or 4.
Oh yeah.
And what do you see happening there? Because personally, me, because I remember when women physique started, you know, I remember the saying, what was it? Separation, but no striation.
Right. And now they're the ones with the striations everywhere.
Exactly. So when, and this happened when Sarah beat Shanique, where I thought Shanique is unbeatable.
Yeah.
We had that conversation at one point.
Yeah.
I still believe Shanique should have won the show because she was women physique from top to bottom. I mean, everything about her says woman physique. And it's kind of like what you explained in your case, or what Milos thought your case was. Well, wait a minute, I'm not willing to go there, and so now we have Sarah in the lead, and she's probably the most shredded girl, on that stage in that category.
What do you think happened on that stage for her to lose? What do you think was going on?
What do I think? What do I think happened on that stage at the time when Shanique lost? I think it was like kind of a combination of things. I knew she was in trouble as soon as they said it's close and it's the 1 point difference.
Oh, I hate when they say that.
When they said that, and I was sitting there, I was looking at Shanique and I was like, girl.
I hate when I hear that.
Because you're not, I think like Sarah, first of all, like her energy, and this is not just like her physique. Let's talk about like, even at the press conference, she was a badass. She was so confident. She was like, it's me. And I was like, ooh, look at this chick. And then I would say she showed that on stage. She outposed.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought, in my opinion, Lenda, she was downplaying her physique and her poses to me. Like she was standing almost kind of like pigeon-toed, as I remember correctly. She was like, I feel like she was trying to like make her legs look smaller than what they actually can be when she posed. And I thought Sarah just I thought Sarah was just going for it. I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna show everything, every striation, every fiber, everything in my body. I'm coming. And I thought homegirl was
and that's really where I agree with you. I think that because I think that like when you're the current Olympia champion and you get to hear all this stuff out there, because I was dealing with that same thing where it's like you want to be marketable and promotable, and yes, this is what women's physique is, or yes, this is what women's bodybuilding is, and then you're up on stage and you're not like bringing it like I think Sarah brought it the way I would see Iris bring it. Iris was just like, you know what I mean? I was like, damn, girl.
Y'all for blood. Hey, that's awesome.
I think if you take the top 3 from women's physique, they would also be in the top 5 in the women's bodybuilding. Not size
with the criteria of shape and beauty and yes, for sure. But can I tell you? Maybe you don't know this. I was watching that duel between Shanique and Sarah, and there was a guy right next to me. Right, so Sarah won, and I looked at him. I started laughing. Like, are you serious? That ended up being Sarah's husband, Ali, right? And he goes $5,000 bet. I said, excuse me, right? Like, right now I'm here, and Ali is going like 5,000 bet she's gonna beat her. Like I said, oh well, maybe. Then that's what I said. Maybe you know something I don't know, but she did not beat her. And then sure enough,
I mean, he if he's the husband, he has to be confident.
Yeah, but listen, and I have to say this. Lenda said about Sarah being so confident. Confidence in sexy. It is. There was like, whoa, like now you pay attention. And then she brought it on the stage. She had that, every pose. I was watching her when she was turning into the ab shot that was turned to the side and then hit the post. And I mean, it was masterful posing. And she beat her on conditioning, but not on shape. I mean, come on. This is
no one beats Shanique on shape.
Yeah, that's but then again, we all mentioned this. Chris said he was about the shape. I think that's the direction that we all want to see. Every category, shape is the king.
Milos, we see it all the time. Shape does not always win.
Yeah. Unfortunately, let's say.
Yeah, we talked about this 100 times. Yeah, and it's this is the way it is. It's not always the case. I mean, you know, it's not like Shanique was super soft. I mean, she had her
No,
look.
she was in great shape.
Yeah, she had her look. I mean, she's not the hardest girl on stage, but she wasn't supposed to be the hardest girl on stage.
And you know, I think that also this is an example of, like, when I look at pictures of Sarah way before she started competing, she's a small girl. Like, she is a small girl. Like, I don't see her being like a female bodybuilder. Her structure, her bone structure, she's small when you see her in person. And then you look at those pictures of her. So I understand how she has the capability of having ripped glutes. So that's the thing I have a problem with trying to put other women in that category, and especially women's physique. And an example is Shanique's booty. When you have that kind of butt, your butt, it just don't, to get it, she just about kill herself.
But don't you think it's just for like all the other physique girls now, because if you want to win, if you have a dream of winning the Olympia, it doesn't matter what category it is, you always chase or follow the one who's winning. Yes. So now, don't you think it sets the tone? Like, listen, you got to be super shredded in order to beat her.
Yeah, I think that's what those girls, I think that's what they think, and they try to maybe approach it that way, but I think it's a dangerous game, and I would never recommend that to anyone. I think the one that placed 5th, I think it's Barbara Menage. She's from France. She's bald. She wears her hair bald. She has a really nice, as far as to the where she's not extreme. Like, when I think of her, I don't think of ripped glutes, and she placed, I think, 5th or maybe 4th. She was in the top 5.
Right. Yeah, I remember the French girl. Yeah.
Yes. So hopefully people can stay in their lane and kind of understand, because I did not have ripped glutes any of my first 6 Olympias. That first reign.
Last one
I did not have them. You know what I mean? That like came after the fact.
On the last Olympia, she even had a ripped heel.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987, and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
Who, me?
You were shredded.
I was shredded.
Last one, you came back like, okay, y'all want to play? Let's play.
There you go.
Hey, Lenda, I had a great time working with you. With the live stream. And,
Tampa.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And
yeah, watching me fucking up on stage.
And Dennis tripping around, had his big foots on the stage.
I was standing on stage for 3 days.
We were like, man,
my gout foot.
This must be bleeding.
Yeah, that's a tough job. I think it's one of the toughest jobs, being an MC.
I'm telling you.
And you did the amateur. You did the amateurs too, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I thought when Tim texted me, I loved Tim. Tim was always there for me. When I needed something, he immediately helped me with whatever it was. He never asked any questions. So when he texted me like months prior, I said, listen, what are you doing this weekend? I said, why? What's up? Can you MC for me? Anything for you, brother. I didn't ask no questions. I was thinking, I'm going to MC Saturday, the pros, boys. So, and then I come find out that there was Thursday night was the Masters. Friday was one part on Friday, and then Saturday. And it was Thursday evening. There was Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Now my foot was the size of an elephant foot by then. So I figured, when we were done with the guys, I'm like, so can you do the amateurs? I was like, oh shit!
I thought we was gonna get something to eat. It was like, all right,
I was ready to go. I was ready to go eat and then watch the UFC fights. But I said, but I need a chair. give me a chair. I can't stand on this any longer. You know,
But yeah,
this is not easy because I was at a point where, you know, I mean, name, it's easy to call a name. But when you get the score sheets and then, you know, you see the points and then the placings and they don't put them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, they don't.
You got to find them, you know, and at one point, and you probably remember that where I don't know, did you guys didn't
No,
do the
we were
math?
there. I was there the whole time. I saw all of.
Did you remember when I called this one girl in 5th place?
oh yeah, I said that. I said something like you pulled a what was homeboy that did the beauty
The
pageant?
Oscars?
Yeah, the beauty pageant.
Steve Harvey.
City Hall, yeah. I think he pulled Steve Harvey right now.
I'm trying to look and I see 5 and I called her in 5th place, but I had to sort of look a little bit more to the right. She had 5 points winning.
Right.
So she comes out, she accepts up 5th place. She probably was winning. And she takes the 5th, and I see Tyler going like
that. Yeah, that was in the figure division because
I don't know, was it figure or women?
It was figure masters. It was figure masters because she actually won.
I felt so bad for her. I felt so bad.
But no, she was it was okay.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's how you know. Hey, that's how you know it's live.
Yeah.
But you know, I was gonna say, it was a pleasure working with you, and man, the data that you have is just it's impressive. It's impeccable.
The printouts.
Oh no, she has it on the computer.
I had it on the computer, but I've been working on it.
And shit, but
Lenda had for all of us. I had a stack of papers like this for the Olympia.
Yeah.
Everything you needed to know about each athlete. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
I'm doing it now. I'm working on that now. It's really exciting to look at each athlete and look at their history and like how many times like the bikini competitors compete or the men's physique. We have like at the Olympia, we have like I think it's 52 men's physique and there's like 51 women's. It's gonna be more. Yeah. So the lineup's tough.
Yeah.
I think it's over 55 in the physique already.
Yeah, right. In classic.
And then don't forget the top 3 points still qualify.
Okay, that's right.
It's a bunch of more shows. But Lenda, I'm sure that you follow figure division and vitamin C, Cindy Dillon. I mean, that's just about as perfect as it gets, you know, the way I see it. Physique-wise, presentation, I mean, she captures every moment on that stage. It's like her quarter turns a state of the art. I can imagine. Yeah. But I have 2 questions for you. One is about Joe Weider, because you have I was 92. I don't know if you remember. There was Lou Ferrigno, Vince Taylor, yourself, and me in LA, and there was like some shock system video, and Joe Weider was there, and I've seen him interact with you. I think you guys had something special, and I never knew what Joe had with the female bodybuilders. So I would like to know if you had some good memory of Joe, because we all love Joe. I want to hear those stories.
Oh yeah, very great memories of Joe. Gosh, I think it's like that's the part that's really cool about any athlete, that when you win the Olympia or you're sponsored by Joe. And Joe, he was really into bodybuilding. Like he really enjoyed like the athletes in bodybuilding. So the times that I would spend with him, I think what I really loved is that he was so like authentic. I had times where I actually got to sit with him when he was having breakfast in his backyard, and we would just talk about, I just watch him interact with, for example, Bill Dobbins on a photo shoot. And he would tell Bill, he'd ask this photographer to do it this way for Robbie Robinson. And Bill would keep giving him this photo. And he says, no, I told you I want this. And they'd go back and forth. So I learned a lot about him also in regards to business, I would say. Because he explained his love for the sport, and his thing was the athlete and how he could promote his magazine and sales and marketing. You know, his brother was thinking about the logistics of the IFBB and in competition, but he was just so focused on the look. He come into a photo shoot that I was doing, and they tried to change my hairstyle and have me with my hair all big and stuff. And he come in and say, "Oh, no, change that." And he'd have them change my hair. So he was very invested as far as his creative side.
You never thought you had enough oil on. Oh, you need more oil.
Yes, yes. But he would get in there, right, Chris?
Oil on.
He would get in there and say that, like, what's the, you know, he would make those changes. So he was, that's really cool. Just to.
And here is another question. Ronnie Coleman or Lee Haney, best of all time for you?
Okay. Yeah, tough question. I have them best of all time for different reasons. I think Ronnie Coleman, best of all time as far as his ability in the beginning, the size with the small waist. And so he's best of all time for me in that sense. But Lee Haney, I'm going to say overall, his approach was much smarter. You know what I mean? Like he was more, I think, balanced. I got the chance to watch the Netflix series on Ronnie, and I was so curious as to, I didn't quite understand why someone would want to put over 800 pounds on their back or train like a beast like that. Like, okay, you're human. Like, what were you thinking? Because when I heard that he was like having problems with his back and in a wheelchair, but when I watched that series, I had a better understanding of who Ronnie is. I knew he was funny. I knew he was hard, you know, trained hard. I'd heard that. But at the end of the day, guys, like, I want to be healthy and, you know, so.
What you're trying to say is, well, was it all worth it?
That's right.
For him, it was though, right?
I asked myself many times, you know, what he, and you know, people ask him and he says, listen, he would do it all over again. The same way. And I mean, like, me personally, I would rather be able to play with my kids than have the stand-outs. But listen, Ronnie is on a different level. He was, it was all or nothing. I guess.
Yeah, and I got to see that.
Yeah, I asked you the question, like, if you knew then what you know now, would you train differently? Would you go lighter? He says it was light for me. You know, so like that puts things in perspective. I mean, he was throwing that weight, you know, and you know, the only thing when they say, do you regret this 800-pound squat? They say, yeah, I regret not doing 4 reps. I had it in me. You know, he only did 2. You know, stuff like that. First time I've seen Ronnie, he had a 50 kilos, 110-pound dumbbell, 1-arm triceps overhead in Hong Kong. It was ridiculous. I mean, he probably didn't know that was kilos. He picked up the pounds, right? And he was just doing it, you know, overhead triceps.
Ronnie's like one of the funniest people that don't know how funny he is.
Oh my God.
I have no idea how funny he is. He's funny.
Yeah, I had one thing with Ronnie that I'll never forget. I was laughing because I remember it was after the Olympia one year, and there was I think it was 2000 when in New York, when the Nationals were in New York. I remember before, I don't know, was it before or after pre-judging? No, before finals or after, I don't remember. We all went to McDonald's, and it was literally a couple of weeks after the Olympia. And I flew over from Thailand. So my feet were swollen. I had more water in my legs than a 90-year-old grandmother, right? So we sitting at McDonald's eating hamburgers, and I was like, oh man, I owe so much water, man. I got to stop eating. He said, what do you mean? So I took my socks off He said, there ain't nothing, I can still count 5 toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Ronnie, he's just, I mean, I'm gonna say he's amazing. I think he is the greatest, like his presence and what he did, yeah. So
what does it feel like though? I still want to know, what does it feel like having all these girls looking up to you? Do you feel like you have a serious responsibility now? Because I started asking, but we didn't really go into detail. Do you feel like you have this responsibility to mentor these women and make sure that, you know, they're not doing the things they're not supposed to do?
I do feel a responsibility.
Seminars and stuff?
Yeah, I do feel a responsibility to mentor.
Because I would think there's a lot of girls who contact you and ask you the question, hey, what can I do to end up like you?
Oh, that's nice. No, you know what? I mean, here's the thing. I think on our level, all of us across the board, whether it's the women's bodybuilding or men bodybuilding or women's physique, like we're all champions. So like when you're looking at the top 10 athletes, a lot of times it's like we are so independent thinkers. And that's why it's hard. And you guys know if you're training and working with the athlete to get them to understand that little small thing that they're not doing, that 5% or that 10%. And it could be something, you know, when I see a woman and I feel like she's been competing too much that year. And I'm like, you need to take a break. You know, sometimes it's hard for them to hear that because I was in that position, in that situation, because I remember when I got beat and someone approached me and kind of said, like, you know, I've heard Chris say this too about an athlete, they're not reaching their full potential, not as far as like conditioning, but as far as putting on size, like you're playing with the weight still. There's still some more room for growth.
Yeah. Right. And
it was hard for me to get to understand that. And then when I got beat by Kim, then I was like, okay, yeah, how much can I bench press for just 5 reps or 4 reps? You know, instead of being the 15 rep queen and the giant sets and running all over the gym and doing all that other stuff, just practicing bodybuilding. So I do feel, I try to have that conversation with certain pros. If they come up to me and they tell me or ask me, I definitely sit down and give them that time and talk to them after. And on some occasions, I think I had a couple of athletes. One, I remember I was in Romania. She won women's bodybuilding and it was too much. It was challenging to have a conversation because of the lack of English there, between us. But anytime you're on stage and it's obvious you've lost your hair, you're not.
You sound like me. Yeah, there's so many things, and I think the same. And you know, because at the end of the day, these girls, they don't see that because it doesn't happen overnight. So they gradually get worse. And they just get used to it, and they just think it's still the same, you know. And that's why I think there should be, you know, people. I mean, like you, Alina, who should intervene and say, "Listen, we need to have some serious talks here."
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And maybe, and you know, and then I also see. I mean, thanks to Jake. If it wasn't for Jake, female bodybuilding wouldn't even be anywhere near.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? And I think Jake doesn't get enough credit for that because I think it seems to me, and I see it just on a couple of girls, it almost looks like it's just like this is, you know, they don't really appreciate that they're still around because of one person.
I know. I agree with you. Well said.
I think there should be some seminar with all the bodybuilding girls in one room, and they'd be like, listen, girls, you know, number one, she should be happy that this man here is putting a lot of money into this to make sure you guys are still being able to compete on a bigger stage in the world. And then maybe, you know, because a lot of these girls because I know I sometimes get emails and girls asking me if I can help them, you know, and I'm not very comfortable with female bodybuilders, to be honest. I'm not very comfortable for various reasons because,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to be, because you don't know how people think when things happen, and it can always happen. As soon as you play with a fire, there's a good chance that you're going to burn yourself. How bad? That's something, you know, you have to find out. But I don't want to be the one that trying to explain why this happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I get some messages, and I'm sure Milos and Chris the same. And then they send you what they've been doing. And then when I was like, you know what, there's no way we can work together because, you know, when
And
you're
I
at
think,
a point, go ahead.
I agree with you. I would say where I look at my specialty in with dealing with the women, because as far as like this part that you guys are good at doing, like bringing a person in, like the 2 weeks out and all that. Like one thing I know for sure, I can look at you and tell a female, you need to back off the drugs, right? Or take a break, right? And then I'm more into presentation, because I really feel like there's a lot of things, like when I'm looking at you on stage, and it's like being at a pageant, and I'm like, okay, your hair is distracting to me. Your eyelashes, you need to change your eyelash, or your color of your hair is not on. Your suit's not working for you. You're walking like a big old, you know, like take some dance classes. Take some dance classes. You know what I mean? Like you're walking out like you're due. Like so that's where I feel like I specialize in that.
And do you have any words for this competitor that I have here right now?
Oh, there she go, Sheena.
How you doing, Miss Lenda?
What's up, Mama?
Guys? Is that Milos?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah. You taking care of business. You taking care of business. I see.
Taking care of business.
That's right, girl.
You know.
That's right.
What are you doing in San Diego?
Oh, I'm training with Camp Cormier. What you mean?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So you're gonna stay out there to the Olympia?
Oh yeah. I had to just drop away all the other distractions and, you know, just make sure that I zero in for these next shows. I think my last showing definitely wasn't my best. I think I was, you know, battling through just some fatigue and things like that. I think which every competitor maybe experiences. Maybe we don't always talk about it a lot, but I think we all have to kind of go through that experience to learn how to, you know, cope maybe the next time so it doesn't happen so extremely. But I'm ready to zero in. I got the, you know, I'm cannons locked.
That's right.
So are you doing the Rising Phoenix?
I'm doing the Rising Phoenix. That's in 3 weeks. And you know, hopefully if everything goes well, I solidify my spot in the Olympia right now. I'm locked for 3rd place right now. There's nobody tied just yet, but there are a couple other shows where competitors who have points could earn more points.
You know what? You know what?
Take care of business.
All you got to do is just beat Andrea, and you're going to the Olympia.
That's it. That's all I got to do. I'm ready.
All you got to do.
Oh, that's a definite. Yeah, girl, you got the structure, the size. Look at your skin. You look healthy overall. Just hey.
She's one of the good-looking ones, though.
She's definitely.
I'm not saying because she's standing there now.
You know, mama.
She really is.
But let me tell you something else. Because you said you're in 3rd place right now.
Yeah.
So if all you got to do is just play 2nd, and you're definitely going to the Olympia, right? This is the last one to qualify, right?
Yeah. The good thing about the Rising Phoenix is all of the points actually are doubled. So even a top 5 finish really puts me in a strong place. And I think
okay. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, who has points. I think she's not competing regardless. So, you know, but the way the Olympia is set up, they don't bump you up. It's just they take the top 3. So even if that 2nd place girl doesn't compete, they just take 1 and 3. They don't bump you up.
Got you. Yeah, because you know now, I mean, I feel bad for Jake, to be honest, because back then the Olympia was 2 categories. You know, it was like what 15, 20 max in each category.
It's so many people
now.
We got 316 so far.
I was about to say, I mean, you're getting close to 400.
Yeah,
that's wild.
You know, imagine covered in flights and hotel.
Well, listen, for women's bodybuilding, I think we only had like 10 shows on the season. If you look at our calendar, a lot of these other divisions, they have 20, 30 shows. So if you're taking every winner from each of those shows, from each of those categories, I mean, that adds up, you know?
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm not going to hold you guys up. I know you guys are taking care of business. I just wanted to jump on and say, hey, appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work.
All right, Sheena. Okay.
Right.
Good luck in 3 weeks.
Good luck.
Thanks.
And Milos, by the way, you know I hate you, right?
What? For this? Yeah, you know,
Not because you're wearing it. Not because you're wearing it. I hate you because you're going.
Yeah, no, I'm actually, my flight is at 2:00.
I know.
I didn't pack yet.
Okay, no, because we all, I was good. I just want to bring that up. I just want to tell you, go fuck yourself.
I'm sure you'll see me there.
And for the people that don't know why I said this just now, I'm jealous of Milos right now. Because not only is he going to Dubai for a seminar, because he's going to take a quick ride to Abu Dhabi for probably one of the best cards the whole year.
The decade, maybe.
Bro,
Man, I'm telling you.
I hope it's a knockout in the first 10 seconds so you went there for nothing. I'm trying to find scenarios for you to hate to go. But listen, I wish I could go there too. So anyway, listen, Milos, I may not hold you up too long. You know, unless you guys still have some questions for Lenda or anything to say to Lenda.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we go, like I know, you know, a lot of us, you had mentioned before how, you know, when the lights dim down and the fans and the people come up to you, all that stuff dissipates more so up at being the champion. Like, what was that like for you to transition into, you know, some type of, I don't know, I got depressed myself, but I don't know what you went through and parlaying that into what you do now. I know there was probably like a downtime where you was just putting a lot of thoughts together, what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do more. And all of us here, we're in the same type of situation to where, you know, it's not easy doing the stuff we do. It's still not easy, even though we're not actually competing, but the effort we put forth for the sport that gave us our identities or who we are today. What was that like? And yeah, I think, you know, we trained hard in our day, but this is a different type of training. There's almost like it's still tiring and it's training, but we pushed through like how we trained over the years. I think that's what pushes us through and helps us tackle the things that we do today.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. When I retired the first time, it was the hardest, that first period of time. But at the same time, I was younger, you know, when I retired, because it was like I was in my 30s. But I think what's really key for all of us, it's that like the tortoise and the hare, you know. I'm not the hare anymore. I'm the tortoise, and I can get the job done by not working hard against myself. Not a lot of work is required. We have, once you get past that physical, like knowing you're not going to be the big Chris, you know, I'm not going to be the big Lenda, and as far as muscle and size and all of that, you have to really let that go, but try to be the best you. And exercise is very important. And I think that's one of the things that really, there's a difference between all of us here, Milos and, you know, Chris and Dennis. We were able to still like train, whereas, and let go of that look that we had. A lot of the athletes that competed during our time, when they lost that look, that physical prowess, then they gave up and they just disappeared. They don't want to do Instagram. They want to do social media. They don't go to shows. They're like, you know, so we made it through that part. And fitness is so big. There's so much out there and available to us. And you guys doing podcasts and just being consistent, being a part of business and following through and saying, okay, before, you know, I'd show up at a show out of shape for guest posing, or I was late, or all that's in the past. Like right now, all we have is this very moment. And
I think all of us, other than Milos, showed up at shows out of shape by guest posings.
Yeah.
I think only Milos was the only one that was never out of shape.
Well, I took it seriously, right? You want to be a bodybuilder 365 days a year. I mean, I didn't understand the concept of off-season, eat big together. I mean, let's face it, that was just an excuse to eat whatever you want and to relax. You know, you can't have a 7 days, right? And then say Monday and Tuesday I'm gonna work, Wednesday, Thursday I'm taking off. No, maybe Friday I will. No, bodybuilder defines training, eating, dieting, looking good. You can do the photo shoots, you can do guest posings, and you can compete. I did 110 shows, right? 72 pro shows, same as Chris. But yeah, it was excitement, really. You know, for me, there was not job that I have to do it. It's just like I couldn't wait for the next show and opportunity. Yeah. But neither Chris, Dennis, or myself were actually the champions, Olympia champion. So you were the one for 8 years. I mean, that puts completely different level. You are now representing the sport. Like we all expect more from Olympia champions. Now they say Rami, maybe he's a great champion, but he's not representing the sport, right? So you have to do a little extra. Knowing you're the best in the world is something I would never know. So, I mean, Dennis was asking you, you are inspiring all these women, they're coming to you, you know, being the champ, I mean, for 8 years and then, you know, defending year after year. This is something that probably a lot of people can never even grasp what it looks like. You were the one.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for me to grasp it. You know that I did it, but it was like, you know, I mean, I get it more now. I'm more in acceptance of what I accomplished and who I am and the responsibility that I feel like I do have, you know. So yeah, it's stressful sometimes. I mean,
but it's also your personality, Lenda. I mean, you're so approachable. Everybody feels comfortable just walking up to you and asking for a picture because everybody knows that you will never turn anyone down. And you take the time to talk to girls, because I talk to so many girls and they all talk so highly of you. And I can only agree is that you are the one, and nobody ever going to take that away from you. And that's why the girls love you. That's why we all love you. And on that note, I want to thank you for taking the time to even come on here to talk to us, you know, and I want to tell you, please keep doing what you're doing. The sport needs you. The sport is happy to have you. And I know Jake is more than happy to have you do what you do. And I hope this goes on forever.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dennis. And congratulations on 100.
Now 101. Today's 101.
101. That's 101. That's consistency.
Yeah. Milos,
thank you.
Milos, brother, I appreciate you taking the time, even though I know you got to rush and get to the airport. And I know how you are. You're always late to airports. So go ahead, handle your business. Do me a favor. Text me. Keep me updated. Just give me something.
I'll do it.
Go on the group chat.
And Lenda, we all love you. And we are so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming today.
Yes.
I supposed to go to the airport, but I waited to the last moment because you are here.
All right. Thank you, Milos. I love you too.
And also knowing you for over 30 years, I feel like we all grew up together. And man, I just really appreciate you coming on. And man, from Detroit, you know, it's like, you were big, man. You still are.
Thank you, Chris. I love working with you. I love working with you.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome.
Beautiful. Okay. Take care, guys. We all be safe. I'll see y'all when I get back to the US.
All right, my brother. Be safe out there. Sprechen Sie Deutsch and Scheiße. That's all I know.
All right, get out of here. Do your job and train Sheena.